The GR86 and BRZ are the epitome of a driver's car. They are all about the driving experience, and they have some of the best aftermarket support in the industry. No matter what you're envisioning with your build, there is likely something out there to achieve your goal. So what if your goal is to extract as much performance out of these cars as possible? Well, here are the top 5 performance modifications you can make to your GR86 or BRZ to go hunt down those pesky little Miatas out on track. Just like the first gen, these cars are notorious for high oil temperatures. And when that oil temp gets too high, the oil can start to break down and it doesn't lubricate the engine components like it should. That is obviously not ideal and can lead to engine failure. So coming in at number 5 is an oil cooler. An oil cooler is going to ensure that your oil temps stay within the optimal range so everything stays well lubricated even when you're pushing the car to the limit. You can either go with a standalone unit like the Perrin one I have on my FRS, or on the GR86 I have a Jackson Racing dual radiator / oil cooler setup, so the oil cooler is built into the radiator. Either way, they both essentially work the same way. You've got a sandwich plate that goes in between the oil filter and the engine, and that routes the oil through the cooling elements and back into the engine. If you're planning on tracking your car, this is certainly something I'd recommend. People always complain that these cars desperately need more power, that they need forced induction. And while I love forced induction, I just don't feel like that's the case with these cars because, like I said earlier, they're all about the driving experience. And if you bought one of these cars to go fast in a straight line, and I hate to tell you this, but you bought the wrong car, plain and simple. Now, my car baseline at 210 wheel horsepower and 169 foot-pounds of torque. And that is already much better than the first gen, which is usually around 170 wheel horsepower and 140 foot-pounds of torque. And that's pretty standard for these cars. We're seeing anywhere from around 205 to 215 wheel horsepower. So after tuning the car on 91 octane, that bumped it up to 222 wheel horsepower and 177 foot-pounds of torque. And after everything was said and done, I installed some equal length headers, an overpipe, front pipe, and we tuned it on E85, and that ended up at 229 wheel horsepower and 193 foot-pounds of torque. And while that may not seem that impressive in terms of peak numbers, those numbers don't tell the full story. A lot of those gains are to be had in the mid-range where most of us are going to be driving these cars. In the torque dip alone, we saw gains of 15 horsepower and 18 foot-pounds of torque. And if you look at the 3,000 to 6,000 RPM range, you can see gains across the board. So at number 4, we've got a header and tune that are gonna help you to get the most power out of this engine without having to toss a spoolie boy on this thing. At number 3, we have suspension. And notice how I didn't specifically say coilovers, lower control arms, or an alignment. And that's because I've kind of grouped all of that into this category because it's all so important. If you're looking for a set it and forget it type of setup that's going to lower your car a little bit and stiffen up the suspension to help to reduce body roll through the corners, lowering springs and struts are a great budget-friendly option. However, those are going to be similar in size and profile to the OEM suspension, which means you may have some clearance issues if you decide to run wider wheels and tires, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people opt for coilovers. Their slimmer profile gives you more clearance to work with, and they also allow you to lower your car to your desired ride height. And most have damping adjustments to either soften or stiffen up the suspension to really dial in the handling characteristics of the car. Some manufacturers even allow you to customize the spring rates to further fit your build, since it's not always one size fits all. Just keep in mind, this is definitely not something you want to cheap out on, because choosing the wrong set of coilovers can absolutely destroy the ride quality. Oh my God, why did I ever install these? Now, we can't talk about suspension without talking about alignments, because no matter what suspension setup you go with, you're gonna need to get the car aligned afterwards. And you may need a couple of things to get the specs that you want. One of those things being camber bolts. These are a budget-friendly option. You can pick up a set of these for around 20 bucks. And you can see that these are a little bit different than your traditional strut bolt because they have this lobe section here. So what you do is usually install this in the top strut bolt location, and when you turn this, the lobe section either pushes the top of the knuckle inwards to increase the amount of camber, or outwards to reduce the amount of camber. You're able to add about 1.5 to 1.75 degrees of camber in the front with these. If you're needing more than that, you're gonna want some camber plates. Most coilover kits come with camber plates nowadays, but you can also get them separately to add to kits that don't already have them. The most common design you'll see has the slots running side to side, and when you loosen the bolts, that allows you to slide the strut back and forth, either increasing or decreasing the amount of camber, and they usually allow you to add around -3 degrees, and some even have caster adjustment if you're really looking to maximize the performance of the car. So camber bolts and camber plates take care of the front, but in the rear, we're looking at a completely different multi-link suspension setup that requires different parts to achieve adjustability. From the factory, these cars come with no camber adjustment. So if you lower the car with these stock control arms, you're kind of just stuck with the natural camber that you get. So to add camber adjustability to the rear, you need to install some adjustable lower control arms. So keep all this in mind when you go to change up your suspension. At number 2, we have brake pads and fluid. The OEM pads and fluid are just not cut out for high performance driving. You're gonna get brake fade and an inconsistent brake pedal feel, which is just not confidence inspiring. So a set of high performance pads and fluid are gonna do wonders to increase your stopping power and give you the confidence you need to continue to push those braking zones until you find the limit. It's really self-explanatory. These cars come with street pads that have different priorities compared to a track pad. They need to be quiet and they need to produce low amounts of dust, whereas a track pad can be very loud and create a lot of dust, but it's a lot more aggressive, gives you a harder initial bite to increase that stopping power, and better yet, it is able to withstand those higher temps so you don't get brake fade. Same thing for the fluid. The OEM fluid can't withstand those high temps, so you can end up boiling the fluid, creating air pockets in those lines that give you a spongy brake pedal, decreasing your stopping power, which is definitely not something you want. So with high performance brake fluid, it has a higher boiling temp, so you don't have to deal with that problem. So if you're looking to go fast, you also need to stop fast. And the number one performance modification you can make to your GR86 and BRZ is a set of tires. Especially important on the base model because they come with Michelin Primacy HPs, which are terrible in terms of performance. The premium GR86 and limited BRZ get a bit of an upgrade with the Michelin Pilot Sport 4, but there's still a lot to be gained with 200 treadwear tires. This is literally what connects the car to the road, so it's one of the most important aspects, and a lot of people will be surprised at how much of a difference a set of grippy tires can make. But that being said, I still suggest that you take the car to the track with the stock tires just so you can see how it feels, and when you decide to make the jump, it'll give you a much better appreciation of how much more grip you have. When I first got my FRS, it had some all seasons on there that I tracked on, and then when I threw some 200 treadwear tires on there, it completely blew my mind. It felt like a completely different beast. Now, on the flip side, if you're driving these cars in the winter in an area where you see snow, please get a set of snow tires. I've seen way too many people throw their car into a ditch or a curb because they're driving around on the summer tires and they probably don't know any better. It's completely avoidable. Get the right tire for your application. But again, tires are the number one performance modification for the money. These cars are like Legos. You have an amazing base to build off of and turn into your perfect dream build. There's so many things to tinker with, and that's part of the reason why I love this chassis so much. And I'm curious to hear from you guys what you're planning or already have done to your car. Comment down below, and if you're wanting to know everything I've done to this car, you can check out my playlist. I'll see you guys next time.